Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Big Lou, and you're listening to From the Source. Today I have Mr. Mike Cavanaugh. He's got some catchy, personal lyrics, an amazing voice with an instrument skill set to match. I feel privileged to have Mike here today. Mike, welcome to Fat Cat Radio.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You know, I got to be honest with you. It's like a kid in a candy shop right now. The people that I've been working with, the listeners, they all love you. And
Really?
A lot of people are going to be very excited that you're finally here. And
wow.
It's been a long time coming, my friend.
That's great. It's great to know.
I'm really happy about all this. Now, I want to talk about, before we go any further, just let's talk about this new album, Pretend.
Sure.
Now, when you were writing this album, you know, did you feel like it was gonna? Did you feel like people were gonna start to get to know you a lot more by writing this album?
Yeah, you know, I think I did. I think compared to my last two albums, I think I was starting to know myself even a little bit better, and just the way I was crafting songs started to develop into something, I think, a little more personal, a little more maybe darker at times, but real and personal. But yeah, I think the answer is yes to that.
You can tell, Mike, that you know there was an emotional ride. All your music, it seems like there's something in you that had to write this song. All this music seems to have some kind of personal. It's about you in some way, or one of your thoughts, or one of your experiences. Well, at least most of them are that way, and you know, the people that listen to it love it. It's like I had said. You get more comments than anybody else. You know, people are always asking, "Who the hell's this?" I mean, it really goes over well, and our UK listeners really love you.
Yeah.
Have you experienced this overwhelming love from the UK yet? I mean, because they're out there.
Yeah, you know, I don't feel like to the extent that you're describing, but I a little bit. I mean, I have a little bit of a following online, and I do engage with people from the UK, and definitely know that there are pockets there of people that are enjoying it for sure. But you make it sound
well.
Really,
it's not just
really
the UK.
good.
Yeah, well, it's not just the UK too. We get a lot of comments from Germany as well. People in Germany love your music
right?
as well. Yes,
Yeah.
22% of our listeners are in the country of Europe, the continent of Europe. So,
Gotcha.
you know, we have a lot of people that you know really love that your style and all that stuff. So, how long has this album been out now?
It's been out, I'd say, about a year.
How's it doing?
It's doing okay. It's doing a little bit better than the last one, which is really all I can ask. But there's definitely been a lot of, a lot of good response to it, which I'm really happy with.
You know, fan reaction is something that really fills the heart. And how does that happen when you're live? Are you gigging?
Yeah, mostly around Boston, the New England area right now, and it's pretty fun to play the album for people. Well, I mean, it's fun to play the album for people who have heard it, but also people who haven't heard it, and to get different responses to it. You know, especially compared to my last album, and because I really do feel like I'm pushing things in different directions in this one, and I always wonder what people are going to think. So yeah, no, the response has been great. The response has been great.
You know, sitting around wondering what people are going to think is all a part of being an artist. Because not only are you writing it for yourself, but you want to know that you're gonna reach listeners. It's like me. I was a chef for 10 years, and everything I put on a plate for 10 years, I thought right at that moment, okay, hopefully they like it. So
right,
I know that
right.
feeling. And it's a tough
I
feeling.
feel like there's this, I feel like there's this idea when people like a certain artist that, and I know I've been guilty of this, like I want the next album to sound the same because of how much I loved, and so it's like, okay, this might be a little different, but please bear with me type of thing. I feel like, I want to tell people sometimes. But, I guess that's how it goes.
So how often are you gigging right now?
Here and there, not as aggressively as I had been. I've been taking some time off for some personal things, but I have a few gigs coming up in the Boston area this month, so looking forward to those.
Very nice. So when you're on stage, let's talk about when you're on stage. Actually, let's talk about before you go on stage. Your first time going out there, whether it was a coffee shop or a small venue or even a large venue, your first gig, what was going on through your head 30 seconds before you went out there?
A state of fear. More than anything. I don't know if there's anything specific going through my head. Just this idea of like, wow, I'm really going to do this. I remember it took me years. It took me years to get up on stage and do anything. From the time I realized it was something I wanted to try and see if I could do, to the point of actually doing it was. I would go to like these open mics and these coffee shops, and I would sign up and I would sit there, and then an hour later it would be my turn to go, and I would sometimes just walk out. Like I was so
nervous.
I was so terrified of it. Yeah.
So what changed?
But once I did the big thing was trying not to get discouraged by that and realize that it was probably just part of the process. But once I got up there and got the reaction I got. I remember the first gig I had, I played Let It Be. I played a cover song for my first song. I played Let It Be by the Beatles, and I got such a good reaction that I just was like, okay, I think I can do this. I don't think I'm kidding myself here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from then on, it was. I still get nervous at times, but
of course. Now, there's a lot of personal songs as we discussed, and we're going to talk about a couple of them in a minute, but I want to talk about when you're on stage. Is there that one song that when you're playing it, it brings you to another place where, you're just somewhere else in your head? Do you have that song that when you're live, you play it, that's how it makes you feel?
I don't know that there's one song. I will say that What You're Doing to Me is one that I always think I'm tired of playing, but when I play it, it can sort of mess with my head a little bit in a good way.
What You're Doing to Me.
Was just,
No, keep going. Yeah. What You're Doing to Me is just unbelievable. It seems like that was a real life experience.
It really was. It really was. Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily always bring me back to exactly what I wrote about, but I feel like it has this
closure aspect. Does it give you closure? Does it give you that closure aspect where I moved on?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. And it's a song that like I can relate to different parts of my life, regardless of like the actual thing I wrote about, and like I find myself playing it and I'm like, yeah, I could be singing. I really can be singing this right now. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a very relatable song. A lot of people have been through that. It's very relatable.
Yeah.
Lovely Lonely Place.
Yeah.
Where were you in your life that inspired the lyrics to that song?
I was living in this little shack out in the woods of Western Massachusetts with a friend of mine who's also a songwriter and musician, and we were sort of just out in the middle of nowhere, unemployed, and just playing music like all day, all night. And it was one of the songs that just came out of that time. So, And I remember actually I was writing it late one night at that place, and my buddy was sleeping. My friend was sleeping in the other room, and he woke up and he was like, "Is that a new one?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's good. Let's work it out." And and we just we stayed up all night. We wrote it and recorded it right there, and that's the track that's out there now.
It's really beautiful and dark, as you were saying. You do have some dark music involved here. So it seems like writing this album must have been an emotional roller coaster for you.
Yeah. I never set out to like write an album. They're just like sort of songs that I write throughout a periods of time in my life, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, I can put these together this way. Do you know what I mean? But so then they end up becoming sort of a story,
right?
For sure.
The other song was John Lennon or Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
In the chorus of that, you were mentioning, you wanted your song to say something, and what did you want that song to say?
Yeah. When I was writing that song, there was a couple things going on in my head. Number one, this idea of striving to be sort of a rock star, and let's be brutally honest about what that means. So all the people that I sing about in that song, were rock stars that tragically died,
Yeah.
So it was this idea of looking at what exactly am I trying to do here. So it's also like brutally honest in the sense that like, yeah, there's a part of me that like really wants that regardless of what I might be getting myself into, so just relaying that, trying to get that across, without glorifying, I didn't want to, I was trying to be careful with that song because I didn't want to be like I was glorifying,
right? Yeah.
The tragic artist that dies. I was more trying to say like, this is what I'm trying to be, and let's take a serious look at what's going on here.
Yeah. There was a song by another artist, Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon, and it was called Change, and that was one of his glorifying songs. He tragically died at 28 as well, and you're John Lennon and Kurt Cobain. I could totally see where you're coming with that song. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that can get out there now, for the people that truly, love your music. My wife herself, I believe that's her favorite song, John Lennon or Kurt Cobain. Right. We do a morning show called Big Lou and Cece, the Big Lou and Cece show, and you're played on just about every one of our shows.
Wow.
And our shows personally, you're definitely played on every show. Some of the hip hop shows you're not always played on because you're not hip hop, but
right.
There's like I said, we have a crowd of people that love you, and I'm really glad to have you again. I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to be with you guys.
Going back a step here, Mike. Let's talk about you in the beginning here. When did you pick up a guitar, or did you start with piano? How did it work?
Yeah, I took piano lessons. My parents started me on the piano when I was 5, and I took piano lessons through high school, and picked up the guitar around I was 17 or 18. Wasn't really serious about music at all during that time. It was kind of just something I did. Piano lessons once a week was just part of my routine. I didn't think much of it. And it wasn't until after high school that I picked up the guitar and started fooling around with different things, and sort of discovered that I had a bit of a talent for it. As far as like, I didn't know, that I could sing. This all was just something I discovered when I was like 18, singing and writing. I did have a friend of mine at that time who was sort of a mentor. And he was a songwriter, and I would listen to him play a lot, and he was encouraging as far as, I was like, oh, you got this piano skill, the guitar is a pretty cool instrument. Maybe you have something there. So, right, yeah, 17, 18, I'd say, is when I really started to discover it.
When was the moment, Mike, that you decided, you know what, I want to make this a lifestyle, a career, something I'm just gonna completely focus on and do my best to get my word out there?
Yeah, it was freshman year of college. I was doing very poorly, and I began writing lyrics in classes, and started to put together songs at that point. And I remember the first couple of songs I wrote, sending them to my friend at the time, who was a mentor, like I said, and he was like, "Dude, you got something here." I remember him saying, "You have something here." Like, they weren't great songs, but
right.
But it was like enough of a spark for me to pursue it more. And as I pursued it a little more, there came a point in time I was sitting in class in college where I was like, I'm done with this. I found it. Like, I don't need college to figure out what I want to do anymore. I just found it, And then I left school, and I've been pursuing it since then.
So what's a day like in your shoes then, outside the music?
Yeah, it's different all the time. I had spent some time in Canada, playing gigs there, and trying to basically go where I thought I had a following of sorts, where I could, I went to LA for a bit. I was in Nashville. Now I'm back in Boston, and I guess I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what's next.
Wandering is a big part of being found.
Right.
And
right.
Especially for somebody like you. I mean, this is what's, in my best guess, with all that your experience, and the strength behind your music, and you moving around and getting yourself out there, you're definitely going to, in my eyes, move forward. And you're young. How old are you?
I just turned 30, actually.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
You know what, man? You're a great musician for 30 years old. You're great.
Thanks,
you're great. You got some good chops with the rhythm on the guitar, and you're good, man. And
I appreciate
for 30 years old, you've wrote some great tracks. And what? Let me try to. Is it all this? Is it the struggles, the obstacles in your life? Is that what made you have this newfound faith in Christ?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that led me there. I think I was looking for music to save me. I thought it was going to save me, and I realized at some point that it not only was it not going to save me, it was the fact that I was putting all that expectation on it.
Yeah,
was actually kind of stripping the joy from it, And so there was this idea of like, well, then what is going to save me, or am I going to save myself, or what do I believe? It just led me to some deeper questions about life that ultimately did lead me to Jesus.
Do you feel that your dreams that you were setting, your goals and dreams in the beginning here, were too far away, and you didn't make enough short-term goals to reach to make you keep that momentum to get to your big goals?
Sorry, I don't know if I got that completely.
What I'm saying is obviously you have some very long-term dreams in this. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that maybe setting, in your life some shorter term goals to help keep that momentum to get to your big goals is helping you along right now? I
mean, I think the fact that I'm able to put all of this in perspective is helpful. I mean, I think I was chasing this thing before, like, it was
wanting to be
like
a rock
it was
star.
Everything.
Yeah,
like if I don't, then who am I? And I just realized that was just on a course for absolute destruction. My identity can't be in that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I just think my attitude and my perspective it's not based on whether or not I make a ton of money doing this, and that has freed me up, and in every way. Every way.
In putting the lyrics inside John Lennon or Kurt Cobain, that it's better to burn out than fade away. Those are really classic words, and
right.
Do you feel like that might have been behind you a little bit when you were running?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh no, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to think on how to expand on that.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you feel that now, compared to when you were running, compared to now when you're gaining more perspective as a seasoned artist, do you feel that now that term is less in your life as opposed to 8 years ago or so?
Absolutely, yeah. When you initially asked me that, I was trying to think of sort of what my mindset was then, but I don't feel like I can relate to that as much now, thankfully, because I don't think those should be the options, the only two options.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
well, because life comes into things,
Right.
There's music,
right.
There's life, there's the business aspect of this. You
right.
Not only do you have to learn the music, write the music, produce the music, record the music, and play the music. You have to handle your promotions, your exposure, your booking, all that
right.
stuff. And there's a business aspect to this, and there has to be a good monotony between the two. But then comes
right.
life. Then comes life.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
So I feel right now, by talking to you for this short little bit, that you've gained a little bit more balance in between the three.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that that's something that's going to help you write another album?
Oh, no question about it. Even when I was recording this last one, I mean, I just had this sense of like that I need to do it. That was overwhelming at times. Like, and I found myself asking, like, why? Why do I need to do this? Why am I putting all this pressure on myself to do this?
I think it's your emotional rescue, my friend. I really do. I really feel like it's your emotional rescue. By talking to you, man, it seems that your music saves you, man. It really does. There's no doubt. So your balance between music and life is good. And that's a really, really tough feat right there. And even though you had to take a step back, your move forward and your next move will be a lot more productive, I think, because now you've got a better perspective and a better mindset. I'm not saying before you didn't have a good mindset. I hope you're not thinking that. But
no, not at all.
So was there something here that that changed? Was there a new motto, or did somebody give you some advice that helped you change this mindset?
No, I don't know that I could point to anything specific. I think partly it's just learning, growing,
right.
Experiencing, certainly meeting different people. Trying to learn from mistakes and just life. I think just. Figuring it out along the way,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with this new album, with this new mindset, this new perspective, are you starting with new material? Do you have any new material yet?
I have some things that I'm working on, and definitely some older stuff that I'm revisiting, and so I wouldn't say I have anything finished.
Yeah, concrete.
But, yeah, but definitely a group of things a group of ideas, or
in your process of writing your new music, because it as a musician, it's always there. You're always writing something. You're always morphing and learning and figuring out better ways to write and mix it with music. In your process, how does it start? Does it start with a tune in your head? Does it start with some thoughts and lyrics? Does it start with an emotion? Does it start with something you were playing around with on your guitar? How does your music start, or is it collective?
I think it always definitely starts with an emotion. It just depends when I end up getting it out through music. Sometimes I feel like it can be so far removed from the time I'm feeling strongly whatever I'm feeling to the time that I write, where I can not even be sure exactly what I'm writing, even though I know it's real.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
For me, the process is so kind of mysterious in a way, and also like all over the place. Like sometimes I'll have lyrics. I'll think of a lyric and I'll go with that, or I'll think of a melody first, or I'll be playing the guitar, not even thinking about writing anything, and then all of a sudden something will come, and I'll go with it. The best songs I ever write, I think, are the ones that come all at once, and it's so rare for that to happen. And I don't know if there's like a, if like I always try to figure out why that happens and what I can do to sort of do that more. But the best ones, I think, they just come at once, and I usually know exactly what I'm writing about and exactly sort of what's going on, But it's so. I mean, I have no idea when that's going to happen next.
Right?
Know?
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
No idea.
Yeah.
So,
in the process here, and you got something that you really want to work on, and you end up with a little block, a little writer's block, or music block, or something. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I tend to be of the mindset that if I'm having a block, it means I just don't have anything to say at that particular time.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but because I've gone months and months without writing, and I can get a little antsy about that, but I also don't want to be forcing stuff just because I haven't written a song in a few months. You know what I mean? I just, and so far I think this process has been okay. It worked okay for me. So I just try to look at it like, trust in the fact that if I have something to say, I will eventually say it.
Right. Yeah.
It'll come out. So
it seems it starts, more often than not with an emotion. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. Excuse me. Your music, very emotional as we talked about, but you as a person, you're a very you're a very expressive person in your music, and that may create I know that you may feel a little bit, some people may feel a little bit shy on letting their emotions out and real life scenarios out in their music. Do you feel that way sometimes?
Like feeling like I don't want to.
Yeah, like in writing, what you're doing to me. Was there a point where you were like, you know what, I don't want people to know this about me? Because everybody.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, and
there was.
So would that mean that for you, how important is image to you?
How important is image? I mean, if I'm being honest, it's sometimes more important than it should be, I think. And sometimes I don't care at all.
Right. Was that answered by how you feel, or how you feel other people will feel?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think I'm always battling, like, sure, like I want to be viewed a certain way, but also that's not completely in my control. And also
right.
I just want to write what I write. And if
right.
people, but I mean, it's always a mess of things going on in my head,
Right. Yeah, I know that.
It's, but
definitely. So,
yeah.
So are you a little bit worried whether people will like you for the real you, or you're just like, you know what, here, this is my emotion. Let me give it to you and take it for what it's worth. Or are you worried about what people will feel what people may feel or like you for the real you?
I think I've been lucky in the sense up to this point, like I've just gotten such good responses from so many people from what I've been doing.
Right.
that it sort of reinforces that we want it, you know what I mean? That it's good, and that. But I also think that can work against me too, and I could, potentially that could make me start to be more formulaic and be like, well, this worked here, so I want to keep doing that. But yeah, no, I mean, I think my goal is to get to a point where I am simply writing what I write, and I don't care what anyone thinks.
Right.
But I think that's somewhat. I don't think I'll ever get there completely.
That was exactly what I'm looking for. That was the answer.
Okay.
That was the answer. The exact answer. What I was looking for. That was the answer to the question right there. And I feel like I feel like you're gonna when you make this, I feel like you're a very popular person. I know you feel otherwise. However, I know that when you make it, you will cross that threshold. Where the people love your music, and you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna make that transition in your mind. Where like, well, people want to know more about me because the me's in the song, and they love my songs because it helps them feel for them. You know what I mean? So I think that threshold may be crossed. Otherwise, because I know you don't think it may be, but I feel it might, because of the integrity of your songs. I feel it might.
Right.
So. Oh, Jesus. Somebody just started a motorcycle. So what is driving your momentum today? What's making you move forward and getting back and gigging a little bit and, maybe putting out this new album? What's driving your momentum today? I'm definitely in a different frame of mind than I was, even a year ago, with some of these things I've been wrestling with, as far as my faith. And I guess I'm pretty excited about what that may mean for my writing. Because I feel like I'm somebody that still has most of all the same problems to write about, but with a new perspective on them. Right.
And about how I can handle them, or in that instead of swimming in them, I feel like I might have some, dare I say, answers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking my writing hopefully will take a little bit more of a hopeful turn.
Yeah.
But again, like while I'm still such a mess, like I'm such a mess in my own head. There's not a lack of material there, but like I said, I think I might have a little bit of a different twist on it, than before. So.
Yeah. Your last year's been good, and you've changed your perspective with that, and that has helped you drive your momentum. That's what you're saying, and also that there's not a lack of you in you. You're there. You're there. Yeah, exactly. You're there. You know what's going on, and that's helping you and driving you today. So, in saying that, your last year has changed your trajectory in your life. So, what would you feel that you need to do more of this year coming up, the next year coming up?
Musically speaking,
personal music, or however you want to answer it, my friend.
I think trust less in myself. I know that sounds kind of weird.
It does.
I think trust. I mean, what I wanted before was to make $1 million and be famous.
Right.
And that's just. I mean, there's always a part of me that wants that and is curious about that. And who knows, maybe I'll even get that, but it's just not, it's not a priority now.
Are you ready for it though? Emotionally?
Am I ready? Am I ready for it?
Are you ready? If somebody, said, hey, Mike, listen, I want you to go on tour with this guy. He's a big, we just launched CDs. He's, going mainstream. I want you on tour with this guy. Are you ready for that emotionally? The whole, all different angles on that, all your emotion. Are you ready for that?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I think I'm more ready for that now than I've ever been. But I mean, is anyone really ready for that? You know?
Well, yeah, it's something you just got to delve into. You know?
Yeah.
Are you ready for a family?
No. I mean, I'm single right now, and I would like to have a family someday, but no, I'm not ready for it.
So in saying you would like to have a family someday, hypothetical, you know, somebody says, hey, you're going on the road, you know, we want you on the road, here's some money. And then, you know, you make a name for yourself, and then, you know, you've got years of work ahead of you in mainstream to make your money. You've got a lot of emotional destruction. You've got a lot of emotional highs as well. And, you know, you're going to be pressured to write more music. And when the dust settles and you have it all figured out and everything's where you want it to be, would that be the moment that you're like, okay, now I'm ready to start a family?
I mean, I just don't know that anything works out that perfectly.
Well, yeah, I know. In real life, it's not gonna. I guess the way I'm going is you know, you go on a 5-year tour, you write albums, you go mainstream, you go on a 5-year tour, and then you get a chance to take a breath, and you meet somebody, you love them, and you start a family. You feel it's going to be hard to get back on that road?
It probably would. It probably would make things more difficult, for sure. For sure.
All right. So, you know, do you feel that, you know, you have achieved some success in your own mind and your own body and soul in an industry where so many have failed at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel pretty blessed to have been able to work with the people I've worked with as far as recording and being able to reach so many people with my music from all sorts of different places. I absolutely I feel like I've been successful. Yeah.
Is there a Mike Cavanaugh form? Now, I know you said that you'd rather not have a formulative scenario for writing your music because, you know, it's more expressive and it comes from different ways. You don't want to fall into that. You want it to do its own thing because that's your music. That's your foundation. So, do you think there might be a formula for you to share to somebody who's just starting out now, who's got some great music or something like that, who's listening, who you can say, you know, look, do this first and make sure you do this? What would you tell somebody just starting out?
Well, I often think back to like when I first started writing and just how much I loved to do it and how quickly and how easily it can become like a job that you just sort of do.
Yep.
So just continue to do you when you write. Because so many, I went through a phase where I tried to sound like Ray LaMontagne because I loved him so much.
Yeah.
You know, and like, so I was trying to make my voice breathy and I thought it was awesome. And I look back now, it's like, no, people don't want to see Ray LaMontagne. They want to see what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Regardless of what it is, it can even be bad, but like if it's unique and if it's original, like that's what people are interested in.
That's what categorizes independent music, and
right.
The independent music industry is like an empire. Unfortunately, it's not a high-paying empire, but it's a collective group of musicians who know that there's everyone's got your back in this. You know, everybody likes to club together. There are some competitive type bands out there who will compete with the band they're gigging with. I don't think you'd be that way. Judging by the way you are, the way you're portraying yourself today, And I feel that the real you would rather be a collective person with other people who share your same mindset and share your same goals with the music. But unfortunately, as we said, independent music doesn't pay all that much.
Right.
So Mike, let's talk about let's talk a little bit about you now. You know, what was the most important day in your life, Mike? What was the most important day? That one day, what happened?
The most important day of my life?
Yep.
Wow, wasn't ready for that one. Most important day in my life. Well, I mean, it was the day I found God. It was the most important day of my life.
Very nice. Is
yeah.
Is that helping you now? Immensely. I could see it's helping you. You know,
it's changed my life. Yeah.
I'm born again July 7th, 2004.
Is that right?
It changed my life. You know.
Wow.
I'm today. I don't do as much, but I know it's there, and I still reach for it.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, lately I've been one of those reaching when I need it type people. But
sure, it happens to all of us.
Yeah,
it happens to all of us.
So, Mike, what's your
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. What's your definition of home, Mike?
My definition of home, it seems to change a lot.
Today, what's your definition of home?
Well, I live in Boston with some roommates, but I'm always trying to figure out where my next one is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what defines a home for you, though? The word,
place where I feel safe. Place where I feel safe.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah.
Mike, blink your eyes and go somewhere. Go anywhere. Where is it?
Where is it? Somewhere warm. The winters here are terrible. Somewhere warm.
Yeah, no, I'm in Connecticut, my friend. So I
know.
I know
get it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm in the valley in Connecticut too, so we get dumped on here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mike, if I were to sit down with some of your friends along the years of your friendships with people, and I would take a handful and you know, and I would sit down with them, what would they say they appreciate about you the most?
Man. Well, I mean, I hope they would say that I'm loyal. I mean, I care a lot about my friends, past and present, and try to always be there for them when they need me. So I hope that would be something they would say. But I wonder myself.
That's why I ask it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know, we all live and learn. Experience is a huge part of life in this industry as well. It helps us morph into what we want to be. Are you completely happy of where you are today?
Completely happy? I mean, no, I wouldn't say I'm completely happy, but I'm definitely happier than I've ever been.
That's a good. That's
sure.
exactly what I was. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about how you're a wanderer, and a little bit before how you've been moving around and trying to spread your love of music and your music everywhere. What does your family and friends think about all this?
They're pretty supportive. You know, they're, you know, it's different. It's a different path that I chose, as opposed to most of my friends and family who just, I think the lack of structure with what I'm doing can be confusing to people, you know, because it's like, it can be hard to describe, but I mean, I'm really lucky with the family and friends that I have. I mean, they're really supportive.
That's what you need. You need support.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
if you had the opportunity, Mike, to sit down with any artist, any time era, anything, and collaborate with them, who would that artist be?
Oh, John Lennon, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I asked that. I should have known.
Yeah.
Have you watched the montage of Heck yet with Kurt Cobain?
I did. I did watch it.
Wasn't that nuts? What were your thoughts on that?
It was crazy.
Who would have known?
It was intense.
Who would have known? Who would have known that he spent years in that little apartment, killing himself like that? No one knew that. That was nuts.
Right.
That was nuts.
That was.
As soon as
really, it almost felt at times like I was, like, it was too intimate for me to be watching.
Yeah.
But in that way, it made it like that compelling as well.
It was funny. I was talking with my wife about it, and I said it was so great, and then boom, it ended. And then she said, "Well, that's how his life was." And I'm like, I never thought of that. I never really thought of that. All right, Mike. So a couple more quick questions for you, and then we're going to get to my final question. My final question, I want you to answer any way you want, whether it's emotionally, about life, anyway. But before we get there, for new listeners, people that not here, but there must be very few people that know your music here, and we have thousands of followers. So, describe your music to the new listeners, and what kind of message are you trying to send? Is there a message as a whole, something like that?
Yeah, I'd say my music is, it's not really folk, even though I use that word a lot, but it's sort of in the style of folk rock or folk pop. And what I'm trying to do is just express myself, I think.
Right.
I don't think I really would go much further than that. I'm just trying to express myself through it as honestly as I can, and sometimes that can be really hard to do.
Yeah, sure. Sometimes when it's very easy to get those lyrics and that music out, it's really hard to actually finish it because it's emotional. And
for sure,
and like we talked about earlier, that you use your music as an emotional rescue, and that would be a good way to describe it. Yeah, you're right. That would be a good way to describe your music, definitely. So where can people buy your music?
Oh, you can buy it on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Bandcamp, Google+, pretty much anywhere that digitally sells music, my music should be there. Whatever your preference is for that.
Now, you want to share your website as well?
Sure, yeah. It's just MikeCavanaughMusic.com.
Nice. Now, is there anything that you wanted to make sure that you got out there with this interview? That I didn't cover?
I think we did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. Yeah.
All right, then I'll move along to the final question for you.
Okay.
Like I said, answer this with your heart, whatever way you want, whether it's with life, with music, anything. Mike, what kind of mark are you trying to make on the face of today?
I'm trying to spread the message of the gospel. That's really my goal, even though a lot of other things get in the way all the time, and I have to figure out how that works in relationship to what I'm doing in life, no matter what it is I'm doing. But I believe that's what really matters.
If there were a few words that you can have painted on the face of today, what would they be?
For
the next generations to come.
If there could be words written?
Yes. And painted somewhere so everybody will see it. What would those words be? What message?
Man, the idea of like a billboard like that just rubs me the wrong.
Oh well, hey, see, then that's good. That's good. That's good.
I might leave it blank. Yeah.
That's good. No. Hey, that's actually a very good answer to that. Believe it or not, that's a good answer. That means a lot. And keep your personal stuff with you and move forward. But you answered the mark you're trying to make. That's important. So, Mike, thank you, Mike. I want to just, again, thank you for everything. Thanks for coming and spending, almost an hour with me here.
Yeah, man, it's been really fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor and just hold on the line for a minute, and I'm going to wrap this up.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, you were listening to the Mike Cavanaugh interview. We talked so much about all different parts of his life, his music, his beginning, his end. Well, no, not his end, but his now. What he wants to do in the future year coming up, everything about him. You just heard everything you want to know about Mike Cavanaugh straight from the source. I'm Big Lou. Have a good day.